All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening as we look at relationships in the African diaspora with a specific focus on the experiences of those of us living in the United States. As usual, I'm your host, your sister, and your friend, Nkiru of Conversations from the Diaspora, a Building Africa's Future podcast. And I'm happy to collaborate once again with Marlon of Afro American Cultural Initiative Incorporated to bring you the Circle series. Marlon, if you would just briefly tell us a little bit more about the Circle series.
Thank you very much, Nkiru. Welcome everybody to the Circle series. Like she said, my name is Marlon Solomon. I'm the founder and senior project manager at the Afro American Culture Initiative. Our mission is to build cultural bridges in the African diaspora through education, technology, and travel. Today, we present a restorative showcase discussing relationships in the African diaspora. Restorative practices and principles, like the circle practice you will see today, have been adapted from the indigenous people of America. Native Americans have practiced circles for centuries. It's a tool that they've used to build community and repair harm done to all its community members, not by exclusionary tactics such as removal, maybe expelling and suspending students, not by shaming, blaming, or other punitive measures, but by humanizing the disciplinary process, by holding people accountable through discussion and collaborative problem solving. The Boston Public School System, which I work for, is currently heavily training staff and encouraging their schools to engage in restorative practices as a way to combat the classroom to prison pipeline that many of our children of color are facing. Humanizing our youth of color with tools that afford them opportunities for redemption, growth, and healing on their road to becoming leaders of tomorrow. So, what's love got to do with it? A comparative look at relationships from the African diaspora. I'm very excited to be here, very excited to get this discussion underway. But before we get started, just a few guidelines for our panelists. First of all, I want to ask you to respect our circle community, respect our community, respect all of us. Speak from the heart, listen from the heart. Speak only when you have the talking piece. In this case, it'll be when Nkiru calls you, right? And when the person is talking, all of us have the honor of listening, and we know that we will all abide by that. And of course, it's okay to pass, meaning that if you have any sort of maybe you're not ready for the question, it's okay to pass. That is just fine. All right. So once again, thank you for everybody being here, for attending, and enjoy the circle. Hand over to you, Nkiru.
Thank you so much, Marlon. So, just as you rightly said, we are looking at relationships in the African diaspora. And tonight we're going to be asking the question, what has love got to do with it, as it relates to how relationships are formed here in the diaspora in our generation. And we'll also touch on how they may be different from previous generations, and for those of us, or for those living back home on the continent. So oftentimes we have these types of discussions, primarily amongst ourselves, maybe women groups, or men amongst yourselves, but we don't really get a chance to discuss one to one together like this in a group setting. So hopefully we can find some ways to address these issues and find a way forward. This is the first step in that direction, and we hope to have some subsequent conversations. So, to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. If you would please comment below to let us know where you're watching from. And if you would like to be a panelist on any upcoming panelist or circle discussion, I've just included the link in the chat. So please feel free to go to that link and fill it out accordingly. So we're going to get started with round one to answer the theme question. We are all in different stages in our lives and our understanding and experiences with relationships. So the question is, what is love? And to be more specific, is love all that is required to make a marriage or a long-term relationship work? And did you see healthy examples of love in your family home or within your community growing up? So I'm going to pose that question to Amek first. I'm going to put it on the screen for everyone to see.
Are you gonna pose the question, Nkuro?
Yes.
Okay.
So are you seeing on your end?
Um, no, I don't see it, but anyways, I remember part of it.
Okay.
Hey everyone, my name is Amak, and I'm from South Sudan, and I live in Arizona. So the question is love everything that the relationship needs? Of course not. There's a lot of things that make any relationship work. So, for example, I grew up in a household of mom and dad. My parents been married for 42 years. Um, my mom is the only wife my dad has, so it's nothing like polygamous or anything like that. So based on their marriage, I don't think it's only love. Like a lot of things has to come together in order for people to make that lifetime commitment, because love can change. People can fall out of love. People can evolve. But if there's other things like respect and the fact that you commitment, then things will just get better and you will make it last forever. But if you base everything on love and just love, when that love goes away, nothing will be left. So I guess it has a lot to do with so many other things other than love.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll ask Bryce to go next, or King Kunta.
Yeah, can you hear me? No, you good. You good. So what is love?
Yes.
Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is Jesus.
Okay.
Uh Did you want me to elaborate?
Yeah. Tell us more.
Um. On a serious note, love, love, love. Man, I feel like I mean it's true. Love is patient. Love is kind. But it's just like it's just one of those things where you have to learn to just almost in a way like accept someone else for who they are and just like embrace them, if that makes sense, if that's the correct term. Like, you don't hold on to grudges or like what they've done. You're just like, oh, I love you type thing. So yeah, that's just in my opinion, that I think that's what love is.
Okay. Bull, if you can go next.
Thank you, Nkuruka, for the opportunity. Well, I agree with them. I agree with them back. I agree with the two colleagues that commented previously. I think it's good to have love. I think is a big factor, but at the same time, there's other factors as well that have to come together for a relationship to last a lifetime. Uh,
Okay.
like respect, uh, understanding. I think understanding is a big is is one of the big elements that needs to be part of love, because sometimes there can be misunderstanding, and misunderstanding can cause distrust, mistrust between people, the partner. And if
Okay.
there's trust in any relationship, really, you're not going anywhere. So there's elements, respect, being, um, and being open-minded, knowing that the person that you're in a relationship with is their own person. Everybody's unique in their own way, and uh, and you don't expect people to love you the way you love them, because at the end of the day, people define love differently, uh, and we need to people need to be mindful of that going into a relationship, because love can change, but if you have other elements, then you can find those elements as well to carry on the relationship to where it needs to be, and be example for your children or your nephews or of other people's, even friends. It's hard. It can be hard, but if there's understanding, there's respect, and understanding, then it can work.
Okay. I'm going to switch gears a little bit with the question: is marriage all about love in our cultural context? Lita, I'll give that question to you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think that love is not love is not all it takes in a marriage in our traditional context. I think that it takes way more than love for our cultural understanding of what marriage should be. Marriage is more like a responsibility for the different parties who decided they want to get into it. And so love really, really doesn't play, in my understanding and in my opinion, love doesn't really play so much of a big role. You just have to be able to, understand the person you're with and be able to, tolerate the person. And then we believe that with that sense of responsibility, you grow in love with that person, meaning that you grow to have affection for that person and you grow to understand each other. And so the idea of just, love is just not, love is, it's just a feeling that you feel and it's temporary. But when it comes to uh, African marriage and Igbo marriages, it takes way more than that type of feeling, that butterfly feelings to make it work because things are way more structured, way more, there's a lot more responsibilities, there's a lot more challenges, there's a lot more family dynamics that you have to be able to navigate for you to have a very successful type of marriage if you're doing it the Igbo way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Kathy, would you say that love looks the same for us as it did for our parents? I'll pose that question to you too, Kathy and Daisy.
Okay. I don't think love looks the same as it was for our parents because back then, I feel like our parents had a certain way of doing things. They had values. They had like basically a certain way of doing things. And in this generation, like it's like people forget about the values, about respecting each other, about, you know. Go ahead, Daisy.
Okay. Well, for me, I would say it's definitely different because our parents' definition of love and our definition of love right now is completely different. As in, okay, for instance, back in the day, from what I've heard from my dad, if you like someone of the opposite sex, it's mainly like, okay, if this person can provide for me, I love this person type stuff. But now in our generation, love is more like, okay, I want commitment. I want you to be honest with me. I want you to be open to me. I want you to accept me with all my flaws. And with our parents' generation, it wasn't like that. It's like, okay, if you can provide for me, then okay, that's love. You don't have to show affection. You don't have to hug me. You don't have to take me out. You don't have to do all this stuff we, the new generation, are into. So I definitely think it's different.
Okay. Let's see. Marlon, you haven't had a chance yet to speak. Could you speak to that?
Thank you, Nkiru. I think somebody touched on one part, which was that people define love differently. And I think that is really the main issue in the Western context. Love is this romantic thing, Cupid going around shooting arrows and everybody's swooning over everybody. And then in the African context, it's more like, are we practical? Are we going to be able to make a future together? More concrete setting things. Now, I read a book a while back. It's called The Road Less Traveled. And they defined love as the willingness and the commitment to helping other people grow. And I like that I like that definition primarily because you can define love with that definition. You can define love as your mother's love. You can define love as your brother's love. Yes, you can also define it as your romantic love. And I think that is kind of where the context always seems to get muddled. It's our definition. If you think love is, looking good on Instagram, then then you may come into problems. But when you now realize that, but I do think the African side kind of takes it a little too far, because there has to be more than just that we can work together and make a living and make a family and grow to love each other. That's why, I would say that's what contributes, that lack of looking at love for somebody, developing real love for somebody, contributes to a lot of the extracurricular activities of a lot of the men in African societies. They're not wedded to the idea of one person. Just can we work together? So yeah, that's my bit.
Okay. So just to kind of switch gears a little bit, we see on social media like this idea of struggle love. So I want to ask you all, is suffering or struggling a necessary part of love or proving that you are worthy of love? And I'm addressing this question primarily to the men. Are you looking to marry your mom in the woman that you end up marrying, or do you feel that any woman, and do you feel that if any woman doesn't meet these standards, they're not worthy of marriage? So I will start with Bull.
Well, thank you for this opportunity again. This is actually a good question, but I don't think there's women out there like my mom. So
Okay.
I'm sorry to say that, but my mom is special in her own way. Her love and affection towards me is different. She's someone that known me all my life, and the person that's going to be my future wife is knowing me from the point that she met me, and until I depart this world. But so I don't think again, love has different meaning to different people, and we have expressed different love. We express love to different people, different way. Like I love my brother, I love my sister, but the same way I love my brother is not the same way I love my sister. The same way I love my mom is not the same way I expect to love my significant others. It just doesn't work, you see. So I do not expect the person that's going to be my future wife to be like my mom. I do not. I don't have that expectations because I'm going to disappoint myself. So, but I expect them to be their own person, you see, and accept them for who they are, their flaws. So I don't think there's a comparison, between the two. Like the love that you respect from your mom and the love that you expect from your significant others are not going to be the same. Of course, there may be some values that I like to see in a person. Some of the things that I see in my mom, but not everything.
Okay. Well, you still had time. I was just showing you the timer.
Yeah. I think I made my point.
Okay.
So really, just to summarize it, I'm saying that like love that I have for my mother, I don't expect this in another person that is going to be my future person that's going to be my future wife. I don't expect that at all because everybody's in their own is different in their own way and they express love in their own way. And love is different from the people that are around us, like our brothers, our sisters, and our mothers. So I think it's better to give that person that is good that is in front of you the opportunity to be who they are and make them feel comfortable. Because you don't want to give them the expectation that they may not be able to meet, and they'll be frustrated. And that's not a good thing.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to read this, I guess, post by Solomon Bucci from Instagram. I don't know if you all can see it on your screen, but I'll read it here. He says that some African men want wives like their mother, not because their mothers were necessarily great, but because their mothers took abuse and marinated in suffering. So they want a woman who will keep them in check, who will not keep them in check, rather. If you want a woman that would take anything, marry your mom. This is the same reason some mother in laws are wicked to their daughter in laws. When they see their sons treat their wives so good, it triggers them, and they begin to hate on their son's wife because they feel that she should suffer like they did. Who is she to have a better marriage? So, Kathy, I would like you to respond to that.
I do not subscribe or believe in struggle love at all. Honestly, like the standards or the expectations men put on women these days are absurd. Like, have to go 50-50 with the guy. Then you have to cook. Got to do that. Like, for what? If you want, in my opinion, if you want a stay-at-home wife, then have a stay-at-home wife and you pay all the bills. But if you expect your wife to help you financially, then help her in the house. Help her do the dishes if she's tired sometimes. Help her cook one day a week, And it goes both ways. Females, stop expecting these men to do everything for you. Like, have your own things. Don't be a liability. Be an asset to a man. That's it for me.
Okay, that's all. That's it. Let's say, what do you think?
Okay, I definitely like that post that you took from Instagram. I definitely agree. Like, I just feel like a lot of like women are like the older generation. They just feel like you have to struggle. You have to go through what they went through with their husbands, like as in the cheating, the bad treatment, the mistresses, like the outside kids, like everything, the whole 9 yards. Like they just expect you to go through all of that because that's what they went through. And I just think that's really crazy because for me personally, I don't think I'll ever want anyone to go through what if I went through that. I wouldn't want another female or my daughter-in-law or my daughter to go through that. Like, and I feel like that's the issue we're facing now. A lot of these older women are like trying to impose this belief on us, and it's like when you don't want to listen, they look at you like, okay, what's wrong with you? Like you're not trying to keep a home, you're not trying to keep a marriage, but it's just certain way.
Exactly. And it's 50-50. Both people should want to keep the marriage.
Period.
Right. Lita, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that for me personally, marriage is something that has to do with struggling. People have to come together and struggle and make it happen, for it to work. Nothing good, in my opinion, works out without people having to both sacrifice and make things happen. So the idea that people think that marriage is just a bed of roses is something that I don't know where it comes from, maybe from movies or maybe from different ideals. So I think that if you're trying to get into a marriage with anybody, I think you should be willing to get your hands dirty, and that dirty is part of the struggle that it takes to be in a working marriage. So that's my opinion. And I think also when it comes to men and women, I think it's not just men. I think that people are accustomed to the culture that they see growing up. So if you have an understanding of culture of what marriage looks like through your parents' lens, that will be the most likely or be more comfortable to you in terms of marriage. And so that's why they say men look for people like their moms. It's not because their moms are great or anything like this, just because that is what they know that is closely related. Just like if you go to a restaurant that you don't know anybody, don't know the menu, you're gonna go in there and anything that say that looks close to rice or fufu, you're gonna go close to it because that's what you're comfortable with first before you now start to explore the other type of different dishes. But you're gonna go watch your. So that's why when they say men, tend to look for their mothers or something like that, that's what I think that that works, and that worked for me too. I married a woman that reminded me of my mom, in pretty much many things. So that was very easy for me to make that shot to make that happen. I mean, because again, marriage is about building the family, it's about value system. A lot of things have to come in place, and you marry someone who you're not in the same value system with, your marriage is not going to work. You guys are going to be doing the opposite of what you're talking about. Struggle. It'll be a struggle to make it work because you think marriage should be about these two, but I would think marriage is about families, not just about two individuals. So that's where we miss it when we talk about this kind of thing. So we have to pay attention to those things and understand that marriage, family is all about value and value systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Lita. Bryce, could you speak to that, please?
Honestly, I think my brother Lita definitely hit most of the points, but I will say this. I'll add on to it. Me personally, I'll just speak from my own opinion. I personally don't want a woman that reminds me of my mom, kind of, but not really. And I say it because I love my mom, but she's kind of a little bit too raw. Like African moms can be kind of mean. No offense. They can be kind of mean. I don't want that. But my thing is like, if you don't know how to like cook or clean or, basically just take care of like home with me, I don't want you. And before women start saying, can you take care of a home? Can you build a home? Yes, I can. No, like don't worry about me. I know what I'm bringing to the table. I want to know what you bring to the table. That's my that's what I'm worried about. Because it's like if I'm coming to you, I'm looking to build with you. So in building, that also means struggling. Now I do believe that when it comes to love, there's some sort of struggle in a way. I don't believe in abuse. But But I do believe in struggle. There's beauty in the struggle and the success. J. Cole.
Okay. Thank you for your response. Marlon, what do you think about that?
I love my brother's response. Um, I think that the definition of love and the definition of struggle are just, I don't think we're all operating on the same thing. I don't think that a woman should be relegated to the kitchen. I don't believe that a woman, should take these subservient roles. But I also know that life is a struggle by yourself. And definitely with two people trying to learn each other. And when you live with somebody, there's nothing you can hide. Every single thing is on the table, from leaving your toothbrush out to the seat up to, it's a constant battle. So to say that, I think struggle is a necessary part of love, because it's a necessary part of life. But like my brother said, no abuse or anything like that, and no subjugating. I also would like to say that I feel that our Western ideology on love and all these things is, we really need to look at it very well. Because in the end of the day, I always ask women this: would you like to go and ask your husband to get married? Or would you allow your newborn baby to be taken care of by your husband for any considerable 2-3 weeks straight? Most women would say, hell no, I'm not letting that man near my baby. That would be tantamount to child abuse, right? Or like, I definitely want a man to ask me out, rather than me ask. So to say that I believe in equality and equitable, and that can be shared up. The duties of the house should be shared up according to one's skill set, not based on any arbitrary, it's supposed to be 50-50. It is 50-50, but people, like I say, men and women, we are equal, but we're not the same. I have my skill set, and some of my skill set is shaped by the fact that I'm a man. And some of your skill set will be shaped because of you're a woman. 47 seconds. It's good. You should give me this thing, because I can go on and on. So what I'd say is that women need to definitely take a more significant role, especially in the African context. Women need to have their say and to be able to talk and say what they want to say, how they want to say it, when they want to say it. They need to be able to do. But if they're bringing money, then they need to have a lot of say. And I agree. If a man can spend his money, and then if a man wants a woman to just be docile, then he should pay every single cent of the bill. And then that should show him that should show him what a man is about. I'm done.
Okay. I don't know if anyone has any rebuttals before you. Amek, do you have any thoughts on that?
Okay.
So for me, I don't think struggle is necessary in love. If it comes, some struggles are avoidable. Like, let's say, for instance, your partner gets sick or loses his job or something. I don't mind struggling with them through that. But some struggle are just man-made. Mm-hmm. You go out there, you get a woman pregnant, and then you expect me to struggle with you through paying child support. That's not a struggle I'm going to be there for. So I don't think it's necessary, but some of the things you can go through them. So that's what I think. But I don't think you have to be a good woman to struggle through your man, or you have to be a good man to struggle through your things that don't make sense. You know what I mean? You have to value yourself. If you don't value yourself, you're just going to be there for everything. And nobody has time for that.
Right. Does anyone have a response? Oh, you agree? Okay. So we'll go to the second round. I'm sorry, I just don't have a comment.
Can we say something?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I think most of the guys are getting this whole struggle thing wrong.
Or confused with
sacrifice. A little confused, because I think, struggle, like Meg said, it's like, you lose your job type stuff. That's struggle. or we can't pay the bills. That's struggling together to build together. And there's another struggle, like, okay, you're bringing issues to the home, as in another woman, or as in some outside factor. You're bringing it and putting that right there is not struggle. Like, and that should not be tolerated. Yeah, that's struggle, and that should not be tolerated. Like, no one wants to sit and be, okay, we are suffering to pay bills, and then you're doing something out there, and you bring in more home. Like, no, that's not the right struggle. I'm going to struggle with you. We're going to build together. If you lose your job, I'm going to hold you down, but I'm not going to hold you down when you're out there making me look crazy. Period.
Right. Okay. So we're just going to go to the second round of questioning, which is, as the world continues to change with both men and women having to go into the workforce, sometimes working multiple jobs to provide for their families, what are some of the expectations when it comes to gender roles and norms in the home and family life? And I know we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to read some things that I just took from social media from one of my friends. His name is Ndubisi. He said, so because the Bible said she should submit to you, that is why she will go to work all day, get back home and start cooking while you are smoking and watching football. She will finish cooking, serve you, help the kids with homework, prepare them for the night without any form of assistance or empathy from you. In the night, you want her to submit premium in bed. Early morning, you are asking her to submit her contribution to the rent. Uncle, do you know the difference between love and wickedness? And then the other one that I got from someone else on social media, Brianna Frink. Fathers are privileged and mothers are obligated, but that's a conversation y'all aren't ready for. So, again, I posed the question to the group. I'll start with Bryce. What are your thoughts on that?
All right, so yeah, I definitely do believe that that's definitely wickedness. Like, come on now, you can't. I'm sorry, like you can't expect a woman to work all day just like you, and then you just sitting down chilling, being lazy. That's too much. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I believe in working hard. No, I believe in working smart, not hard. If that makes sense. So basically, I believe in passive income as well. So this whole having multiple jobs, been there, done that. It puts a toll on your body. And as my wife, um, I don't want her to be like, oh babe, I can't do this right now because my back. God forbid. No,
What?
no, we must job. I'm sorry. Like, no, like I want my woman, I want my woman to be, strong, energetic. For me.
How about we have this?
But it's true. Like, for me and the children, I don't know. Being an adult is ghetto. So, the
Oh my God.
less the less headache you can put on somebody else's child, the better. That's the way I look at it.
I like that, Bryce. I can respect that a lot. Bo, what do you think? Expectations, gender
Well,
roles.
I agree with my brother here. He really made a good point. I think there's definitely wickedness in the part of what you described. I think we need to be considerate. I mean, if you do love the other person, you should know the pain that they're going through and be able to be a shoulder, or extend a hand, a helping hand. It's not one party doing everything. I don't agree with that. Yes, there may be some circumstances where someone, a man or woman, may have to work two jobs, but it's not something you got to do for 3 years or not even 6 months. But some circumstances, things happen, you see. But and this is with the struggle that we're talking about. Mac mentioned earlier. This is what you call unforeseen situations that do occur in our lives. And in that kind of situation, you can step in and do more, to help out that partner, whether it be a woman or a man in that situation, because things do happen. None of our jobs that we have are forever. Things change. So during those periods where actually you need to demonstrate, you need to be more of a man or a woman, but it's not something that is you don't want to add more work to your partner. You want to be considerate. You want to you want to be the best you can. So I agree that this is definitely you gotta understand the other person is a human being just like you. So you want to be mindful of that.
Okay. Lita, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think that the reason why people get married is so that they can be able to work together and make life a little bit more functional, and everyone pull their weight and make things work out, for everyone in the relationship. So if you're married, then there's certain things that as a man you have to do, and if you're married, there's certain things as a woman you have to do. But I mean, again, it just depends on what your partner needs and what you need. So if you're a guy that likes to cook, then you can take care of the cooking. If your wife likes to do the cooking, then you can take care of the cooking. So I think it's just we should all work out between you guys. I don't think there's a clear definition. It's just depend on what what either parties need to make it work. Because some people don't like to do dishes, and you have to find someone that likes to do dishes. So you just have to see how you guys can complement each other and make things happen. That's just what I think. But again, I wanted to say something earlier on. So I think that this concept of and again, I'm speaking from the Igbo culture because I'm an Igbo man, right? So the Igbo culture in marriage does not subjugate women. The Igbo culture does not. Women are not inferior. It is the Western culture that brought women into the idea of women are inferior. They have to sit at home. We don't have housewives in Igbo culture, original Igbo culture. Everybody, there's a division of labor. Everybody does what they're supposed to do. If you want to be a housewife, you're welcome to be a housewife. But it's not. It's a Western culture that says women have to sit at home. Women have to do this, do this, do that. In our culture, we don't have where women are subject to do not to this or not to do that. That's not what our culture. That's not the real sense of the culture. The culture is all about partnership. It's all about making things happen. It's all about developing the family. Be it even with polygamy, every woman has her own house. The man has his own in the middle. But it's pretty much the gender roles is not. It's not pretty much. It's just different. But there's no, because I heard my other brother talking about, as long as women are not getting abused, the culture doesn't support abuse. Doesn't support overworking women or overworking men. It's just that just different things that everybody, women are in control of their own sector and men are in control of their own sector. Even if you look at the village settings, the women lead the women and the men lead the men. So it's just separate, just like the separate but equal type of thing. In that society, that's kind of what it is. So just wanted to correct that impression because people are always giving out the wrong impression about Africa and about our marriage systems. And I won't speak Africa largely because we're a lot of different cultures. I'll speak about the Igbo culture. Largely, it's not, women are not supposed to be second-class citizens. They're not supposed to be. And the idea of polygamy doesn't even make you a second-class citizen. It's just the structure of what our marriage looks like as Igbo people. And it's not a must that you must have many wives if you don't want to. So it's just a choice that men have. But that's just how our marriage and the marriage settings are. I'll just stop right there.
Thank you so much, Lita. Marlon, I want to hear from you, then I'll turn it over to the ladies.
Let me come correct though, because I know the women are ready to pick up any loose comments. I think that there is a lot to do with this perception that women are less necessarily like second-class citizens. I think that in Africa, women embrace being a woman, especially like it's their own power, and they kind of view the Western side as trying to be man-like, right? So I want to go and do this, I want to go and do this, and I want to, then fine. And I think, and I think that while a lot of women may ascribe to that, not all. Like, right, some women want to be going to work, some women want to be doing that, and that's fine. That we should continue. I think I work better with women all the time anyway. I just, I always do. I find them to be more emotionally stable, like no problems. You say what you mean what you say. And then, so these gender roles, I think we need to reanalyze them. And I like what my brother said. You have to kind of look at it from a standpoint of that it's about skill set. I always, if you have a skill set that is, I mean, I've cooked better. I cook better than most women I know. I teach my son to cook, right? Because I know it's a necessary skill that every person should have. Now, if a woman has it, now there's actually this added thing of, oh, well, you're teaching me to cook that because I'm a woman. No, I'm not teaching you to cook. I'm teaching my son to cook, right? So these gender roles, I think that we need to, I don't think that it's about gender role. I think who does the job best to get the best results for the family. Now, in my situation, I had my ex-wife, she was luckily a person that loved to do design work. Like she used to design clothing and she was extremely good at it. She went to schools for it. So my initial thing when I got married was to hopefully have enough money to push her so that I can give her what she needs as far as sewing machines, pay for staff, do all these things so that she can do her own dream, which was to, design clothing. And it worked out because she was her own entrepreneur, she could manage her time better and be in and because she wanted to be close to the kids. Trust me, she didn't want me to be the one changing diapers. The socks will never be the same. The breakfast in the morning will be dry if I'm the one that does it. So she wanted me to stay away from certain things because look, that's my department. You're gonna mess it up. Just go and do what you need to do and pay the bills. And I concentrated on that. It was a teamwork, but I could cook, I could barbecue, and I would make sure I barbecue over the weekend. Or when she was feeling hot in the kitchen in Nigeria, I made sure I put in an AC. I got her help her, do the chores in the house. She had a driver. I made sure I took care of everything, including her business, so that she could be home with being, with the kids more often because I needed her home because the kids needed her home. I didn't need her home. And that's one thing I want to say. At some point in Western culture, I always find it offensive that the children never take over. It's always me and you and me and you. But you had children that never had any choice in being in this relationship. You guys have a choice. But once you have children, you have to realize you have forsaken some of that choice. And that's when the struggle really begins. Because you really have, yes, you can. Yes, and this is what our mothers are trying to teach us. I'm not trying to say that nobody should take all those times because the times are different. And right now requires a renewal of our cultural understanding. But yes, we have to make sure that that everybody's doing what they need to do. And the men, if you're not doing that, you take over. Be a man. You think being man is just to open your mouth and pull out your, open your zipper. It's more than that. So that's my my point, man. Grow the fuck up. Sorry.
Marlon, you're gonna owe me for that one. All right, y'all. We're gonna go to the next round of questions, just for the sake of time. So I know for many of the women on this panel, growing up, we were highly encouraged to focus on our studies. But once we graduated from college or reach a certain age in our lives, at almost every opportunity, we're asked by our mothers or women in our lives, in our communities, when we would get married and have children. So this question I'm posing to the ladies: how do these societal pressures make you feel? Kathy, I'll start with you.
I mean, honestly, I just feel like it's unnecessary because every girl doesn't like want to be married at a certain age and or even some women don't even want to be married at all. Some women want to focus on their studies. Some women want to build businesses. Some women want to do more than, get themselves situated before entering into a marriage because they know that once they get into a marriage, it's like a sacrifice. You got to sacrifice your time and be there for your husband and for your children. So some women would rather, get themselves together financially, whatever the case may be, before entering a marriage. And I just feel like society's pressure is ridiculous. Like everybody's not on the same time wave, on the same time limit, and we shouldn't be pressured to be on that. So yes, that's all I have.
Okay, Daisy.
Oh, well, I think the issue here is a lot. Like I keep saying, a lot of older African women,
But that
and
is
there's a
true.
reason. They are the ones pushing the agendas. They have this like thing where you have to be married before 30. If you're not married, then something's wrong with you. Like you have serious problems. I think it's crazy because it's just like Kathy said, some people don't want to be married. Some people don't even want to do get married. Some people don't want kids. Like you don't know another person desires. You don't know what they want. So why are you trying to impose your beliefs and everything that you think is gonna make them perfect or make them known society? Because if you're not marrying African society, you're like a nobody.
Nobody.
You don't know. Like some people don't want these things. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And it's okay to get married after 30. It's okay because you can get married before 30 and it doesn't work out and you be single. Oops. It's just, it happens. Like things happens, you know? So I just feel like it's crazy. Like I don't know. I think it's really annoying. Like it's really annoying. Because I've had like older women, especially after I got married, they'll come, when are you having a baby? When are you guys having a like
mind your business?
Mind your business.
Worry about your husband.
Exactly. You don't know people's struggles. You don't know there are women facing fertility issues and emotional issues. There's a lot going on in people's homes. You don't know what they're going through to be asking questions about their lives. Mind your business.
Thank you.
I just feel like it will just help everybody if everybody mind your business. When a woman wants to get married, she will get married. If she wants to go through the career path or have her business, get herself together before getting married, that's fine. It shouldn't be like a requirement that you're trying to impose on someone. You have to be married. Like, no, you don't.
Exactly. And like she said, you can have $1 billion, but you're not married. In African culture, you are nothing. We need to change that. Like, for what? Anyways, I'm done.
Very good points. Amek, what do you think?
I think people shouldn't be pressured into marriages at all. It doesn't make sense. You could be 40, you could be 50, and if you don't feel like getting married, it shouldn't be like a taboo. Like people shouldn't look down on you or keep asking you, when are you going to get married? When are you going to get married? You know, there's a lot of African people, especially now, are stuck in unhappy marriages just because they want to make a point. Hey, I'm married and I'm going to stay married. You know what I mean? And that's how we have a lot of people who are depressed and they don't even know they're depressed, you know? So I don't think marriage is not like an achievement. Everybody can get married, you know what I mean? Like anyone can get married. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to have special skills. It's something everyone can achieve. So I think people need to stop putting that kind of high values on like a married woman and just let people be. Oh, that was it. I'm done.
Thank you, Amek. I'm going to switch over to the guys just briefly. Chinedu, if you could answer, as a man, did you feel or do you feel pressured at all to get married at this point in your life? I don't know if he's still there, or Bryce, if you can help answer.
Yeah, I could definitely help answer. I want to say yes and no. I say yes because it's like at a certain age, and once you reach a certain status, everybody's like, "Oh, when are you getting married? Your mates, I get you married." Blah 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 blah. But then once you actually answer them and be like, "How are you contributing to my marriage or wedding, whatever?" That's when they learn to keep quiet. So, and then from there, they go and tell somebody else, don't ask him. Don't ask him because this boy is rude. He don't respect his elders. No, respect your life. Drink water, drink tea, and mind your business, man. Like, like my sister said, some people don't want to get married. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to get married, but I mean, it's just like sometimes it's best to just wait when the time is right. Everybody has their own season of doing things, and maybe that's not that person's season at the time. So that's just my opinion on it.
Right. Chinedu, are you able to answer that question? Do you feel, have you been pressured to get married? I don't know if he's hearing us. Bo, what about you?
Yeah, I'm here. Well, that's I think the pressure goes. It's not only unique to females. I think it's something that goes both way. Again, it goes back to those the expectations that our families, our parents have for us as a society. So me personally, I have never been pressured. You know, I have, and I've heard from guys and girls that have been pressured, and it just makes people uncomfortable. And I think when people are pressured, actually, people are likely to run into a wrong person most of the time. You see, and then you get stuck with that person. And then the same people that actually, the same people that pressure you to marry that man or that woman are going to be the one that are going to be feeling sorry for you later on. You see, they're gonna feel for they do feel sorry for you because now you're in a relationship where your life is miserable. You see, and they're gonna be the same person gonna say you need to struggle as a man or as a woman. They're gonna be the one that are lecturing you on on what to do when you could have avoided it all this mess by just being patient and find the right person. You see, I personally don't think there's an age limit. I mean, I know in like a Sudanese culture, there's expectations like, okay, if you're in this age, you need to have this and that. So it makes people uncomfortable. I don't like that idea. If I had kids one day, I wouldn't pressure them because people have things happen in people's life in different time. I don't think there shouldn't be a pressure. I think people should just be left alone and to choose when the time is right for them. Because whenever the time is right, you are likely to find the right person. That's what I believe. But when the time is right, and you try to squeeze this commitment into someone's life, then it's most likely not going to turn out well for them. So people should be left alone, let them decide. But I want the females to know that guys also go through that. It's not just guys. But I think guys goes through it a little later than females.
Women.
Women are they go through. Young women go through it a little earlier than guys. Guys will usually get pressure at like a certain age, like maybe in their like mid-30s. That's when. But females, I think around 24, 25. That's when young women they usually get pressure around that age, like 24, 25. But for men, it's a little later. But the pressure it goes on both sides.
Okay. So I just wanted to I guess mention maybe some of the differences between maybe our time and our parents' time. I think for many of them, when it came time for them to get married, it's usually maybe one uncle or one auntie that recommends, oh, there's this guy that I know, he might be good for you. Maybe go to this wedding, go to this function, so let people start seeing you, this kind of thing. So I want to pose the question to you all. What would you say is the future? What is the future of, I guess, dating or getting into relationships look like for our generation, especially with the presence of social media influences and online dating? How do people find their life partners? Um, Let me see. Marlon, if you could help.
I want to ask. You want to ask the only person that's not of this generation about this generation. uh, I'll do my best. Well, obviously, like dating and stuff like that. Like me, I'm extremely busy, so like dating is like I've looked into online stuff, but I don't really get involved as such. I every now and then there's like like you'll meet somebody like when and during business or something like that. So I think the future definitely will be something online and things like that. Maybe it'll get more sophisticated. I don't know. Maybe it'll be more sophisticated than us like swiping left or swiping right. I don't know. But I don't know. This generation, I think that obviously a lot of is online and all these viewpoints are out there. And I do think that because of a lot of new viewpoints are at the table, namely women are having their voices heard, probably for the first time ever in the history of mankind, that there is going to be an adjustment period on both sides, because I see that the future, a lot of like there's a lot of valid pain that has been experienced by women, and unfortunately, where I'm a Christian, two wrongs don't make a right. And I find that we're going to get this balance point where the men have to get their acts together, but also this growth pattern has to be looked upon from the standpoint that because men have been so abusive in general over the years, that women, there's a level of growth that has not been allowed, because you can only really grow when you feel safe, when you feel strong, when you feel supported, when you feel nurtured, right? And I feel that women have been denied a lot of that safe space because of the attitudes of many men. And men have to learn about it. I watched it's going to sound weird, but I was watching the news and I watched this, it's about Afghanistan and how the Taliban are being very mean to the women and they're not letting women have any rights, this, that, and the other. And there was something that the Taliban spokesperson said that was actually quite revealing. He said, we have to be patient. These Taliban men don't know how to treat women. And it was so honest. And the honesty was, was like, they do need to be trained. They do need to be even allowed to be able to like learn how to treat women. Like we just assume that these Neanderthals are just going to wake up one day with this ideology. Oh, I know how to smooth the women. These guys, a good day to them is like, hey, woman, come here. And that is to them, they've been very, very polite, So we have to learn that, because we're not, I think women are finally getting their voices heard, that they need to also, I know it's tough because these are the same people that have been, doing the bad things, but they also are still not in a place of intelligence. So you gotta, like there's this, I think the future has to do with some sort of allowing women to grow into their full potentials. And then us men will reap the benefits of that because they will nurture us, I guess, to a level of, I don't know, normalness. That's my bit.
Okay. Bull, what do you think? What does the future of dating look like in our communities?
Yeah, I think there's going to be two versions. The online of is going to be there because most young people are online now. And it's easy to meet people. Just all you have to do is add people to your friend list on Facebook and Instagram and all these social media. But I think back home in Africa, I think it's still going to be in person. I think you're still going to have more of this in-person thing because of the way, like through events, and I think people prefer like situation where you actually get to meet someone in church or through like these cultural events that often happen. But in the West here, for those of us who are in diaspora, I think it's going to be heavy on online. Personally, I don't like online. I don't like to meet people online. I like to meet person. I like to meet person in person. So you get to know them better, because people sometimes they can pretend to be who they're not online. and then when you meet them in person, they may not be the person you expected, and you'll be disappointed. You see,
right. And
there's actually a song in the South Sudanese music. Like there's this one guy who made up a song about don't look the catfish, like meeting these women that are not who they really are. And when you meet them in person, you're like you'll run away from them. So those things are going to be there, and I think actually it brings fear to people. Like if you're someone who thinks, okay, I'm gonna find someone online, you're gonna do it without with a bit of fear. You're gonna be cautious about that, because we've seen that there's an issue with people being saved online. So that's going to be there. But I think people will eventually, here in diaspora, will eventually meet online. Once they seen someone in person, they'll probably be more safe to meet that person. But I think it's going to be different for those that are back home and those that are here in diaspora. But whatever way, at the end of the day, however you meet the person, whether it be in person or online, I think there's going to be the qualities that we talked about earlier are still going to be a big factor. You see, just because you met someone online, that doesn't mean that this person is going to be the right one person for you, or the person you meet in person is going to be the right one person. It's still, you have to kind of take it slow to understand that person. And I don't think it matters really how you meet the person. It's just those qualities that you look for, the values that we talked about earlier, and the future that you want to build with that person. I think those will determine, because I know people that met online and they are together and they are happy. And I know people that have met in person and they're not happy. You see? So again, the dynamic is going to change, but the big factor will be how you treat that person, and what is, and then with time things will eventually unfold.
Okay. Let me see. Kathy, I would like you to tackle this question before we go to the next subject.
Honestly, because of social media times and technology, dating is going to be more online. But in my opinion, finding someone in person, like maybe at a function, and like seeing how they move and everything while they're in public or whatever is better than meeting someone online. Because like someone else said, people, they have this false advertisement when they're online, but once you get to know them, it's like you're not exactly who you portrayed yourself to be. So I honestly feel like, yeah, it's gonna be online, but we're gonna have distance and more long term in person. And I also feel like people to learn how to date. Like honestly, it's just like you find that one person. It's like, okay, you're my boyfriend now. Or, okay, you're my girlfriend now. Like what? Like you don't even know what's out there. So I feel like, especially depending on your age, like people need to date other people. I'm not saying necessarily sleep with everybody you encounter with, but go on a couple of dates, try different things out, try different types of people out, fill them out instead of just the first person that you meet. Just be like, okay, that's it. This is my boyfriend. This is my girlfriend. We're gonna get married. Like you don't know what's out there. So yeah.
Okay. Daisy, did you have something to say, or want us to go to the next topic?
For me, like I think I agree with what everyone said previously. I think dating is gonna go mainly online. Like honestly, people are like way too busy meeting up with people all the time, or going to these functions that your aunties recommend you go to find your husband. Yeah, I think everything is definitely gonna go online. And I mean, I'm not into the online thing, but I mean, that's the trend everyone's following. So it's up to the individual, I
Okay.
guess. Like, yeah, for me, I don't do online. I'd rather see you in person, see if we vibe. Because online we might
Right.
vibe differently, but in person we might vibe differently.
Facts.
Very good point. Okay, so we'll just go to the next question. So women are often taught to reduce themselves professionally, financially, academically, and otherwise, so as not to intimidate or scare away any potential man who may want to ask for her hand in marriage. So this question is for the ladies, the first part at least. Could you, as a woman, comfortably love and respect a man who makes less than you and doesn't have the same education as you? And then for the guys, could you, as a man, comfortably love and respect a so called made woman who can see you as an equal or having slightly more than you without being intimidated? So we'll just kind of tackle that first. What does it mean to be a made man or a made woman? And can you, be with someone without feeling maybe intimidated by, whatever they may have had or they have outside of you? Amek, I'll give you that question.
So I would rather be, like I would have pride in the person, like the made man, not intimidated. Because when you love somebody, you value them, and you always want to show them off. So if they have that success going on in their lives, so that's something you should be proud of. Could I be with a man that makes less money than me? Yes, I can. Because at the end of the day, life is not all about money. There are so many other things, for people to be together. less educated or not educated at all. I'm not sure. It's probably like to an extent. I couldn't see myself with a high school dropout or a high school graduate just because we're not going to be at the same level. We're not going to be able to discuss certain things or look at certain things like the same way. It's just going to bring a lot of misunderstanding. And just to avoid that, I don't think I would. Not
Okay.
because I'm looking down on them, but just because it's not going to work.
Okay, I can respect that. Let me just read this comment I found on Facebook. So it was kind of in reference to this same topic. The lady is saying, you know, she was talking to a guy who I guess made a post. She's saying that most men I know don't like already made ladies, so women who already have things going for them, have a home, have a car, have all these things outside of a man. She says that when men sees a woman who has everything she wants, no matter the business she is into, they will tag her success to like a sugar daddy or some other like a man who I guess gave her that success. A lot of rich women today don't have a husband because most men that comes their way want to eat their money and run. And then, speaking from the Nigerian context, which where she's from, an average Nigerian man won't want to marry a woman who has millions in her account or drive her own car. So, in other words, she's saying that, many women, if they feel like they have a lot of accomplishments, I guess, coming into the marriage, they feel that maybe a man won't accept her or maybe they will feel intimidated. So, Lita, what do you think about that?
I think that I personally believe that people just have to choose who they really can flow with. I don't know if people are afraid to marry women who are accomplished. I don't know why. I mean, it depends on, like I said, it depends on what you believe marriage should look like, or what you believe marriage should be. That would be, that would be some men feel like they have to. Some men grew up and their fathers were very wealthy and their mothers were just housewives, or their mothers were just doing something very little, and so they don't really know. They don't feel comfortable being with a woman who's already made. They want to be the ones that their wife come, please, we need money to buy some this, we need money for grocery. They want their wives to make nothing that's significant enough close to what they're making. So it kind of emasculates them. It kind of makes them feel some kind of way when the woman is very it's way and again some women too in African context as well. We see that all over in the US for the most part. When they come from Africa and they now see that opportunities that can make them even make more money than their husbands, they become to, they start to now maybe take the big decisions by themselves. And, the husband's role is now in the back seat. And men feel, that this woman is about to take my, whatever it is that makes me believe I'm the head of household or whatever the case. Because at the end of the day, in African context of marriage, is the provider that's really the head of the household. And some men don't. He doesn't sit well with some men, and some women too. He doesn't sit well with them. So at the end of the day, I just think that marriage is not by force. Marriage is the choice you make. So you have to make the choice. Choose who works for you. If you want to marry a woman that is already made, go for it. If you want to marry a woman that's not already made, go for it. There are lots of women who are made who are there for you. There are women who are not made who are not there for you. Everyone should pick what works for them, and good luck in your marriage or marriages. Thank you.
Thank you, Lita. Chi, thank you so much for joining. What do you think about this question about being a made man or a made woman? Do you think that men feel intimidated if you are coming into the relationship with more money, more access, more education, or whatever compared to them?
Yes, I feel like a lot of. Sorry, I'm just trying to find a good position for my camera. I'm so sorry that I'm late. I mean, you know how America is. I just got caught up with a whole lot of stuff. Okay, let me manage this one like this. So, okay, so a lot of men, yes, so we have that in our society these days where men will rather I'm not sure what to call it, but I have a feel, where men would rather be with a woman that, isn't really accomplished. I feel like it has something to do with the natural roles, like natural laws of, or natural, the natural roles that people were created with. For example, men have always been known to be providers, protectors, and, hunters. I think I read that somewhere where it is said that a man is a hunter. And so when he finds himself where in a situation where he's not able to do that, he feels as if something is taken away from him. And then some men even begin to feel inferior. All right. So I feel like there's nothing wrong with everybody having their own. There's nothing wrong with a man being made, a woman being made. I just feel like a woman, I think it has to do with who you are, knowing who you are and being secure in who you are. If I meet a man that is a billionaire, it doesn't take away from me still wanting to get my own, and I was raised to be independent to a certain degree, so I feel like in this time and age, men do want to, especially here in America. America is a place where every family needs to have two incomes to function perfectly. That is what I think. So if having a made man, there's nothing wrong with a man having a made woman, and there's nothing wrong with a man having a woman finding a made man. But at the end of the day, it has to do with being secure in your own and getting your own, and knowing that the being made shouldn't be the criteria or the what do you call it, or the reason why you are with someone. I don't know if that makes any sense. But that's what I think.
Thank you, Chi. So just to consider time, I wanted to ask this question to everyone, if you can kind of answer it quickly. What would you say are some characteristics that you are looking for, or that you were looking for if you're already married or in a relationship, looking for in a partner, and what makes someone marriage material? And then also, I guess, to kind of go to the other question and combine them together. Sometimes I think we as women are often told that marriage, or we're kind of conditioned to believe that marriage is the ultimate goal, and some view it as a means of alleviating some type of financial burden, and marriage somehow makes you seem more respectable in society as a woman. So I want to ask also, does marriage benefit women more than men, or vice versa? So just kind of three questions. What are you looking for in a potential partner, or what were you looking for before you got married or in a relationship? And do you think that marriage benefits one party or the other? So I'll start with you, Marlon. Then I'll just go down the list.
There were so many questions. I don't know which one to ask.
Okay, so
what makes marriage matter? Is that the word I'm...
And who does it benefit? Who benefits more from marriages, would you say?
Well, of course, because of the way historically systems are set up, men benefit materially more from marriage. I think that's, but I think that's just a function of the way society is constructed, not that it is fair. One thing about marriage that I keep on trying to talk to, it's not just an arbitrary thing. It's what we call a station in life. And that station in life means that if you have this partner, you will grow as a person better, longer. It's like, people say, oh, well, like, I don't know how they want to have kids. When you have the kids is when you will understand how you have to extend yourself. You have to think beyond the limits of your skin, right? You have to think of other people. You have to be compassionate. You have to be, you have to be patient, and all the cliches. So when you get to marriage, like my sister Chinwe said, the idea is that you actually do need, the structure is set up so you do need two incomes. So it's not as arbitrary as we like to sit here and say, oh, well, I just like to love, I just like to this, I just like to that. There is actually a practical function. Two heads are better than one, right? And that is why I feel that marriage is an important step to take. I've also mentioned the children. At what point do people stay in marriage because my personal goals don't trump that of my children, right? Because I want my children to have this. And I'm not saying stay in an abusive marriage, but I'm just saying that there is compromise because there's something more important than you in the marriage, okay? This me is just the way we do it in America. Me. But, and while we have to take care of our personal and mental health, because if we are not good, we cannot help others, right? At the same time, we understand that real life is a struggle and it does require sacrifice. All I'm asking for is an equitable, where both partners are looking at their skill sets, saying this is what we need, this is what I'm good at, this is what you're good at, this is what I'm kind of good at, this is what you're kind of good at. We can share those ones, and then the ones we're not good at, we hire out. So when I'm looking for a partner at this stage anyway, when I was looking for a family, that's another thing. You have to have your expectations in line with your actions. If you're trying to look for a family and the woman is already made, then she's not maybe ready for that. And if you step into that and then now change the script and try to start putting pressure on her that now she needs to change her life, when you met her the way she is, and you married that woman, then I think that that's something that you have to really look at, but at this stage in my life, yes, I don't mind marrying a made woman, because in fact, I'm trying to find other people that can really love me to help me grow into the person I need to be, right? I don't, as fantabulous as I am, I don't think I'm where I need to be. I need help. I need that partner to roughen smoothen my rough edges. Smoothen my rough edges, make me a better person. So those are the characteristics I'm looking for in my partner.
Okay. All right. So I'll ask Kathy if you can help answer that.
Okay. I believe that two whole people get into a marriage. You got to be ready for marriage. You got to be spiritually ready for marriage, financially for all that. I don't fall into a marriage and they have like a bunch of like insecurities or something like that. Like, I feel like people should be whole before entering a marriage. What's the next question? What characteristics you're looking for in a partner? Well, number one, I just feel like he has to be understanding, like me, number one. Stability is another one. And I just have to feel protected. Like, if you have those three things, like, that's the foundation, And party, I do feel like men benefit more than women marriages, because you got somebody to always take care of you. You have somebody to take care of your children. You have somebody to take home. Some men have someone to take care of their businesses, So they benefit more, in my opinion. The same?
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Bryce.
I'm not just always Bryce.
Bryce, what do you think about that? What do you think about what Kathy said, or just in general the topic?
I personally believe that, when it comes to marriage, you gotta be ready before you step into it. Like, I feel like you gotta get to a certain mental and spiritual state before you can walk into it, because it's work, man. It's work. It's like two different worlds coming together to try and make something work, which is quite interesting when you really think about it. Who benefits more? I can't really answer that right now, because I low key want to say the women do, low key, but I'm gonna put it on the families. I feel like the families enjoy more than both spouses.
Okay.
So
good point. But what about you? I think you're muted.
Yeah, even though I like this idea that, like in the Bible, and even though I don't consider myself a Christian, like it says that when it's like two people coming together and become one body. I really like that idea because when you become one body, it doesn't mean that it's not this person's benefit more and this person doesn't. I think it's supposed to be beneficial to two people, parties, two families, two communities. That's how I see it. But if you're in a relationship where one person is benefiting more than the other, then something is right. Something's not right. Something is definitely not right because it's not supposed to be like that. I know that I think in most societies that are predominantly run by men, yeah, it can come off as men are the ones that are beneficial. It shouldn't be like that. You see, I mean, I would want my partner to feel like she's valued. Her contribution is just as important as mine, and we both are in it because we choose to. You know, I would feel comfortable with my significant other things that I'm the one that's benefiting from this marriage. It just doesn't make me comfortable because it goes against my value. Because I personally believe deep down that I think the creator, the created men and women, did not create men to be more like superior to men or vice versa. Because it wouldn't make sense. Because the God that I serve, is the God of justice. And that's where justice, the real justice, really comes from. It comes from God, and it wouldn't make sense to create two people that are not equal and put people together, and where there's this inequality. I don't believe in that. So I think is definitely there's a problem if you're in a relationship and feels like one person is the benefit. Then there's definitely a problem. I think it's something that needs to be worked out between two people, where everybody feels like their contribution is beneficial to both. Because again, is you want to do what is in the best interest of you and that partner, and eventually your family. To answer the other question, what I look for in a young woman who may be my future wife or whatnot, I really can't say, because people are different. I try to stay away from that question because sometimes people can pretend, but they can pretend to say, okay, this person, I know he wants this, he wants that. Let me just pretend to be that person for him. And then later on the project, because you can't pretend forever. So you can't pretend forever. So I think it's just better to accept people who they are, because you're not, like I said, the moment you have those expectations, and people think that you're expecting them to be perfect. You see, there is no such things as a perfect person, a perfect man or woman. So I think it's better to just let people be, and they need to be loved for who they are. But I understanding, like, people need to understand each other. Like, you have to create that space where people feel free to be able to speak their mind, to share their grievances, their fear, with you. So that way, where that person is when it comes to this issue or that issue, so you can better mitigate those challenges or those fears that people have. I think communication has to be open.
Okay, so to kind of close things up a little bit, I would like to open the floor, because I know when we were doing our planning, this question kind of brought a lot of interesting conversation. So, Lita, I will let you answer this question first. What would be the benefits for polygamy for men or women? And is it still necessary in today's world? And then to kind of go back on something that we discussed earlier, how often is a man willing to tolerate a child outside of his relationship, or the idea of his wife wanting to marry someone else? And would the woman be expected to tolerate these things? So, Lita, I'll give you the floor.
Well, I thank you for giving me this question. I believe that polygamy is the African way of getting married, but it's not that everyone must be polygamous or you must go that way, you must do it this way. I feel like monogamy is a Western way of marriage. And if you go even, the Middle East and many parts of the world, Middle East, Africa, polygamy was our way of getting married. And that's how our family structures were based. But when the West came into Africa, they kind of brought in their culture, their own kind of marriage, which is monogamy, and they made our polygamy look like, it is some kind of immoral stuff to do, and it's something that it's not modern, and it's women are the victims. on all that stuff about our form of getting married, which I don't agree with, because I come from a very polygamous family, and I've seen polygamy being done right from my family point of view, and but every time Africans like to make excuses to say, oh, when we did polygamy was because we had a lot of farms, we needed to have more children to be on the farms. That's not correct. There was no reason why we did polygamy. We did polygamy because that's how our family structures were set up, and we did not, and we did not, we did not have to explain to anybody why we did it. It was just, and that's what our definition of love was too. Our definition of love wasn't to just love one individual and love them forever. That's not what marriage is all about in our context of marriage as Africans. Well, I'll speak about Igbo. I won't really speak about other African cultures because everyone is different in their understanding of what they do in their culture. But I'll speak about my culture as an Igbo person. So polygamy was not done to treat women badly or to put women on the back seat, because every woman had a voice in Igbo land, from what I understand. So now the question is it needed in today's world? I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm not sure it's something that is needed, but I think it's a personal choice that individuals have to make for themselves and do it in a way that that works for you and your partner. If your partner is okay with it, if you're okay with it, you got to make it known before you get into that marriage and be very clear so that nobody feels slighted, because now we're in a place where we're doing, the Western form of marriage now, which is monogamy, is the Western form of marriage now that has been very popular. It's very popular now in Africa and in Igbo land. So, do I think it's needed? It's your choice. You make that call for yourself, and then everyone decides on what they want to do. But I don't like when we talk about it from a negative point of view, because if you look at time one polygamous marriage that's not working, I will show you several monogamous marriages that's packed up, and will never work. Even if you revive the marriages, it will never work. But it's just a thing, for me, it's a thing of cultural superiority that the West has made their marriage superior to the African type of marriage. And again, be very clear, even in those days, there are also men who just had one wife, and it wasn't a crime. So not to say that everybody in Igbo land was polygamous. But now we'll talk about polygamy, talk about it from a negative point of view, just because of the Western superiority. So that's my take on polygamy. Is it necessary in today's world? You make your choice and decide whether it works for you or whether it will not work for you. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay.
Why Mio?
Just because, hello.
Wait, you said me, or you said who? Who did you ask me?
No, I was going to ask if I could respond to that.
Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. So because I came late, and these are some of the questions we have here are very one of my favorite topics to discuss. And before I proceed, I'd like to put out a disclaimer. I'm not a feminist, and there's nothing wrong with the feminist ideology. It's just that I have a separate ideology. Now, you said my brother said that he's he comes from a polygamous family. I don't think you would have come from a family as polygamous as mine. Mine is a very popular polygamous family in the East. And my grandfather had about 30 wives. And so he had about 18 sons. And I don't think any of his sons, except one, had just one wife. Every other person had 11. I know that somebody had 11 wives and all that. So I've seen polygamy. Now, you say, that it was done well. It was done well because, it's not needed in this world, because I feel like men... have not, precisely made up their mind on exactly. Some men, not all men, have not made up their minds precisely on what they want. And this is because in the time that my grandfather was doing this polygamy with all his wives, I know that every week, all these wives came together and put together a list, and he funded these lists. List of what they needed, list of their for whatever it is that they needed for their upkeep, and he funded this. So you had to be a very wealthy man to be able to undertake polygamy. Polygamy is not just for somebody who is hungry and you just want to sleep with two women. No, it takes a lot to keep a polygamous home. Now, you cannot want polygamy into this world and expect that your wives be independent. That you're not doing polygamy. I don't know what it is you're doing, but that will not be polygamy. So if you want to marry me and 2 other women, beautiful. As long as you can afford me and 2 other women. I don't like that though, but I'm just saying, So, and in those days, I know that because imagine that every woman had a week to sleep with the husband, and you had, let's say, 30 wives, that means that there's some women, because maybe during their week they offend their husband, such things happened. There were some women that didn't go near their husband's bedroom for 2 years. And these women, these are human beings, they have needs. The thing is that our society has so made women to suppress who they are emotionally or, sexually or whatever. And so these things, as long as everybody is smiling, then we are okay. That's not true. I mean, think about it. If my mother was in this marriage and then, she's disfavored and she doesn't go near my dad's bedroom for 2 weeks or, for 2 years, I'm a woman. I would think about it like there's something wrong. So polygamy, I don't think is needed, and it caused a lot of problems. The only reason why women were able to take it back in those days were most of those women were not educated. At least I know that my grandfather's wives were not educated. They were okay with tending to the children, going to the market on their days, but you cannot want a woman who is maid. You cannot want a woman who is a hardworking and independent woman, and you want to have 2 of those in the same home. It's never ever gonna work. Okay, but before I also leave out, I wanted to just add something to the previous questions that you asked about who benefits more in marriage. I'm sorry, I'm taking you guys back. So when I wanted to also, just tend to those ones. Nkiru, I don't know if I have time to do that. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is how a man, who benefits more from a marriage. There's something my elder sister always said, which I find hilarious. And she's a very funny person, by the way. So she says that, after God made the earth and God made man, he looked at him walking about naked in the garden and said, Chai, if I leave this one, he will use stick and poke his eye. Let me just send him somebody that will help him. And so he sent a woman, to help. And so I feel like even in the Bible where it says that that a man obtains favor when he marries. So I think that men do benefit. But like my other brother said, it is equal. When somebody else is gaining more than the other person, then there's something wrong. It should be 2 whole people gaining something out of a union. And also saying, oh, what do you want in a marriage? Can I get what you want? What do you, I'm sorry, I might paraphrase, but I'm paraphrasing, but basically like what to look out for, qualities to look out for. I feel like the best place to start is, having like values. The problem is that we always look at the superficials that don't last. Oh, is he tall? If I may say so myself, I'm every man's dream wife. But then there are so many values that I come with. There are so many beliefs and things that I come with that will not go well with you. So I feel like the most important place to start is to look out for like values. What are your values? Do you think a man should be the protector? What are the roles? What do you think a man's role should be? These are the places to start from, besides, oh, she's made or she's rich or she's tall or she's beautiful. And also, finally, somebody talked about equality, I found myself putting myself inside trouble for that, but I'm going to just leave with this. I read something a few days ago that said there's a reason why God took away the rib from the side of the man, and it's not because he didn't take anything from the head so that the woman will lead the man, or anything from his feet so that the man would trample on the woman, but it is from the side so that she will be equally doing her role, as a woman. And I feel that people, both men and women, and there's none that's more important than the other. Both have different roles, both have gender roles that are supposed to form a synergy to work perfectly. A man cannot have a baby and a woman cannot plant a baby. So I feel like everybody has their roles cut out for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Chi. That was perfectly rounded up. Lena said he wanted to respond.
So yeah, thank you, Chi. I like the submission. The problem I have with some of these submissions is that we always have to use the extreme cases of a man having 30 wives. My grandfather had as many as as much private as your grandfather did. But my grandmother was a medical doctor trained in New York, and she was a second wife. So she didn't have to submit and get in the line for bills. She actually had about 5 properties by the time she died of her own. She was the medical director of the, I think, Eastern region, this thing that was in, I think, in Owerri or something. So I come from a polygamous family from both sides, seriously polygamous. And I've seen polygamy being done very well. And I did not, my grandmother speak to me all the time, and they never told me anything about them being starved. Or they always talk about my grandfathers like great husbands. And so, if you look at the Igbo sense of family and the sort of sense of Igbo family, it was never structured where women come to their husbands every month for money for grocery. This is just the new, this is the new British created culture of Nigeria. If you go to the market, hold on, let me finish. I did not interrupt you. Hold on, let me finish.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So if you go to the market, I'm giving you example. I'll give you examples too. You can go check it out too. If you go to the market square in any market in Igbo land, you see that majority of people in that market are women, and they are buying and selling produce from their farms or whatever it is they are doing. So the Igbo culture didn't leave women to sit in their house and just every month they collect groceries from their husbands. Both my grandparents did not sit down, and my grandmothers were not sitting at home women and waiting for their husbands to give them money for internet, because the culture allows you to be somewhat independent, take care of your own children, and provide things for your own children through your little businesses. It's only a lazy woman in Igbo land that will not have any kind of bill, unless her husband chooses that she should not do anything. But most women I know in Igbo land, you cannot go to even the ones that are polygamous and non-polygamous. You don't see them not doing their own businesses, whether they're selling tomatoes, whether they're making gari, whether they're selling apple, whether they're selling on hard leaf. They are doing business. You go to the markets in Igbo land, you see that the majority of the women in the market are women. And the things that you see men participate in the market, they will be selling meat, wood, those kind of things that is harder for women to do. So you look at even the division of labor in Africa and Igbo land. I'm talking about this before the Western people came into Africa. You realize that the men are the ones that dig the yams, plant the yams. Women plant vegetables, tomatoes, peppers, and the lighter things. And there's been division of labor even before the white men came to Africa. I'm talking about pre-colonial. I'm not talking about this one where they came and they made warren chiefs and they're creating all these kind of different.
Just because of time, sorry. Let me just, I'm sorry. Nkiru, I really have to apologize. You know, I get heated when this type of conversations come. I apologize. Now, let me respond to you. You talked about your grandmother being a medical doctor and all of that. I understand that is 1 in a million cases, because most women.
I have many cases, not just one.
Fine.
I have currently women who are currently in polygamous marriages. And
time out.
Okay, so I'm just responding briefly. I'm just going to respond briefly. All right. Now, you talked about your grandmom never saying they were starved or whatever. I don't expect that is a conversation your grandmother was going to have with you. Like I said, women have been suppressed, especially sexually. In fact, if a woman raised such issue, that would be a taboo. However, you said that
it's not a taboo for women to talk about that. A lot of women raise those issues. Even women in monogamous marriages. And it's called, they say my husband is not eating my food. That's what they say. That's what they say it to be. They call the men to order. Our culture is where women are not put in second class citizens.
No, they are not.
Guys, please. Give me a second, please.
Can I finish?
I know, but please let me just come in and say one thing. I hear you.
But I have the floor. Can I just finish, please? So I was saying, and I was responding to what he was saying. Now, you said that these women, men did this and all that. I agree with you. But now, the only thing I wanted to correct was when you said this is a British thing. No, which British? British are people who split the bills on everything. Now, a woman did not build the house that she lived in. That is impossible. A woman did not pay her children's school fees in the past. These were men's roles. No woman, you said that you're
still talking about I'm talking about pre-colonial. What you're talking about is British are the ones that came into Africa and made women second class citizens because it was their culture. Women just got their first right to vote in the West. You're talking about, hold on, give me one.
My organization put this thing on because we want to talk about restorative practice, which allows people to talk. So we just can't talk over each other. I hear you and I understand everybody's passion. I actually love the conversation. I really do. It's not that I don't like the conversation, but it must be order. And I think maybe we have other people that want to also share, their own point of view. So please, if you can just, wrap it up or really move on to the next so that we can get to other people, everybody can talk.
Well, let me just end by saying this. All I'm saying is this is go do your research, do what you want to do. The British came into Africa and they brought it. It's only when the women get their rights to vote, right to do this. It's a Western culture. Women have always had their rights for everything. School fees was not anything that we did before the British came. Now, if the first women riot led in the whole world was done by Igbo women, go look it up about women riots. They didn't. They defied and they went and rioted because the British put them in the back row. So the idea of women second-class citizens is a Western concept, and women have tried to liberate themselves. Even in the West, women got the right to vote in America. Women got the right to do all this. That never happened in the Igbo context. There was nothing like women voted. Women had women leaders in the old Igbo culture. The way Igbo society was set up, women were led by women, so they didn't need right for liberation. They were not liberated. They didn't need to be liberated. They didn't need right to vote. Men led men.
Yeah. What you just described is basically segregation, because you're saying men were with men and women were with women. Women were not allowed to sit in council with men and bring out their opinions about anything in society. So how is that equal?
Okay, everyone, I know that we're all getting heated. So just to kind of round things up a little bit, if everyone can just give one takeaway, like one thing they took away from this conversation. Of course, we can't finish everything that we want to discuss today. Hopefully we can have like a round 2 or 3 or 4. So if everyone can just give like just one statement as to what, maybe one thing they've learned or one thing that they hope to gain or hope that others have gained from this conversation. So Marlon, I'll start with you.
Hey, my people. Oh wow, it was. I love the conversation. I think afterwards we just need to have a group session. But what I gained, was just the different perspectives, and I feel everybody's voice needs to be heard, and everybody's everybody's passions needs to be listened to. On one hand, we had, especially this last conversation, I really felt that there were a lot of cultural motivations, and I think we need to look into that because these cultural things, there's truth in them. There's restorative nature in them. However, we have to also understand that what was good in 1920 something does not translate in almost every facet of our lives. So, of course, marriage, styles of marriage, all those things, will also change. I really believe that culture is not something that we do by choice. We do it because we need, as a culture, as a community, as a people, to survive. And it's as serious as life and death. So I believe at some time, having multiple wives was extremely important, which is why it happened. And then again, my sister said it. It's not for everybody. Monogamy, let me say this, monogamy is a very, in fact, I would say the vast majority practice in Africa before the white people came. All right. Now, the richest of us all used to definitely can indulge in all that. Like I said, if you can afford, if you have one wife, you want her to be at home, pay for all the bills. If you want to have multiple wives, pay all those bills too. If you can do all that, my friend, do what you need to do. God bless you. But I don't see the need in this day and age. I mean, unless I can have wives in all kinds of marketing, advertising, like maybe that's the only reason why I would just want to build my own organization. So with my wives, that's the only thing I can say I need. Or maybe for politics, I don't know, in Africa, you want to look like a big man. But all in all, if you don't need it for your survival of you and your community and your family, and it's not a functioning thing. My sister said a lot of things that make the marriage very hard to manage. I mean, you must be a Casanova. You must have a tongue like a wolf to be able to make everybody work in unison and make functioning. So anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Amek, if you could give us your takeaway.
I think to each their own, and hearing like different perspective and still respect each of them is what really bring us together. So there's no wrong or right. It's just what works for you, pretty much, especially when it comes to polygamy. Me personally, I wouldn't see any reason for it, especially here in the West. But I probably will have different views if I was back home and not in the city, back home in the village. I probably would have different view on polygamy, that it's beneficial. And as my brother said, it wasn't all about um, working hands in the farms and how people trying to make it sound like here in the West, and pretty much it wasn't, because polygamies were so much about making allies, um, and like more than that. So that's my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Amek. Lita, if you could tell us your takeaway. Lita, I think you're muted. Can you hear me? Okay. Let's maybe Kathy or Daisy.
Kathy says God's will.
It was God's will. Anyway, honestly, I don't think polygamy is necessary in the United States or anywhere in the world, unless a woman can marry somebody else also. And honestly, I really like this conversation. I feel like what everybody said, hearing other people's point of views without being disrespectful sometimes, and just getting another point of view and understanding another point of view. So it was nice.
For me, conversation, I feel like we need to just focus the next round on this polygamy issue, because some of us didn't get the chance to say what we have to say. Okay. But anyway, I enjoy it, especially hearing the guys' view and stuff. And I mean, yeah, it was.
And
Okay,
polygamy
Lita,
is
can you
legal
hear
in
us?
all 50 states, just so people know.
Lita, can you hear us now? If not, Bo, can you give us your takeaway?
Yeah. I want to comment on that before I give my conclusion. I think just so my brother know and my other sister knows as well, that my grandfather had a second wife, and he had came from different ethnic groups as Dinka and Luo. So my take on polygamy, like I said, I don't think it doesn't have anything to do with love, because I don't think it's possible, again, to love so many people at once. It's not possible. Okay. Now, and it doesn't matter. I think this is something that's across Africa. I think people just do it because to boost their status in society, and then and it makes them it gives them this status like, oh, I have 3 wives, I have so many kids, and I'm contributing to society and this. But I still doubt the fact that there's still love involved in there. I doubt it. You see, and I don't think every man in Africa actually are for such relationship. I am not. I do not want to be in a polygamous relationship because I know there's a lot of problems. My grandfather, who had all his wife, his children are having problems today. They cannot agree. There's always like problems, like even those problems reach me here in the U.S. and I do not want to hear them. You see, my grandfather's not here anymore. May his soul rest in peace. But those children who grow to be, it become a generational problem. You see, especially when you don't have those families, like the mother of the mothers of all these children, when they don't agree, it creates problem. I personally, for my own sake, peace of mind, I do not want to be in a polygamous relationship. But again, I want to say something about the British. You said something earlier. I do anything to do with it. I think it's a personal choice. Okay, it's a personal choice, and most leaders most people that tend to be in those kind of relationship are people that do by choice because they want the status, they want to show everybody that. And this is where the commodity comes from. That makes women feel like they're commodity, like I own these people, and it shouldn't be like that. You know, I think from the beginning of the world, when God created man and woman, there was one man, one woman. Okay, all these women that we people do now is just a choice, and the fact that people have more money. And I said before, even here in Africa, even today, most leaders, most people that tend to be in those kind of relationships, tend to be most corrupt leaders, corrupt politicians, are the ones that always have these multiple wives, and they tend to be corrupt. It's not always the one leader who has got one wife. They don't have that issue of corruption, but most of these leaders in Africa who have those many wives are corrupt because they have wives. So my final conclusion, I think, again, everything comes down to personal experiences. Culture plays a role in it, but then I think education also play a role of it. And I think comments there were all good, you know. But I think I think we need to, as a young generation, we do things differently. Some people, of course, want to hold on to their culture. But I think it's important that we separate what the British did to their own current realities. Because I don't think, even here in the U.S., for example, there's still people that have baby mamas, 5, 6, but they may not call it polygamy, but it's still, at the end of the day, it comes to that definition. So it's not. It has nothing to do with. It comes down to a personal choice, you know. And but I do appreciate everybody's comment. I think we've done a great job not speaking over each other because it went well. Of course, everybody's passionate about certain things, certain topics. But overall, it was a good discussion. I'm looking forward to the next one. And I appreciate you and Nkuruka and Marlon for putting this together. It was well done.
Thank you. All right, Chi, if you can give us, your quick response or your quick thoughts on maybe a way forward or any takeaway.
Yes, well, my takeaway, and which I strongly agree with, is who somebody said that when two people come together in marriage and one person is getting more than the other, then there's something wrong. I definitely agree with that. And somebody else said that two whole people should come together and make a union work. I also agree with that. So people say, oh, I'm looking for somebody to complete me. No, complete yourself before you look for another person that is complete, and then you guys come together and become one whole complete package. And as for polygamy, I could go on and on and on and on, because I have also seen the demerits of polygamy in our society. And just like Marlon said, I apologize if I got that name wrong. You cannot take what was good in the 1920s and think that it is good today. My brother, who is very passionate, was talking about how these things happened before the British came and did this and this. And I don't think the British had anything to do with it. The British believes in going Dutch, in sharing bills. That is not our way in Africa. It has never been. I know that the men always provided, and at some point it made it seem like, oh, the women, you just gather a bunch of women, put them together in a home, and they're just happy to be your wife, and then they take care of their children and they take care of themselves. I'm not sure that is how. I didn't see polygamy that way. I know a lot of polygamous families, and I know that the men were always in charge. They took, charge, and they always took care of their, families. And so I don't think that polygamy, because a lot of women swallowed a lot of things, and this is what I mentioned the other time about women having, very sincere conversations with their son. I feel like because a lot of women put up with a lot of things doesn't really mean that they were happy. Maybe they didn't know better. And this women liberation, nobody's angling for women liberation. We're just, I don't know, I'm not saying nobody is, but I'm just saying that is not the purpose of what I was talking about. My point was that, some of these things, were done, some things were done not considering other parties. And now that people have started to consider other parties, there are certain things that our culture is doing away with. For example, before now, women could not inherit anything. Women could not sit in council like somebody raised, and women could not break kola nut. But some of these things are being reviewed today. Women today in some parts of Igbo land can inherit some things, and women can actually, now we have male women, we have chief women who can actually break kola nut in the absence of men. So some of these things are being looked at, and some of these things are being reviewed, and some of these things are being considered. And I want to thank you, Nkiru, and I want to thank everybody that made it possible to put this thing together. It was beautiful. I'm sorry I was late. I hope there's going to be another opportunity to discuss, because I'm really, really passionate about these types of discussions. I mean, you could tell a minute ago, I almost lost my wig in a fight. So so I want to thank you all for putting this together, and I'm looking forward to, coming again to participate. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chi. Bryce, your takeaways?
First things first, man. It got kind of hot in here, so yeah, that's wild. We definitely need a part 2 of this. I just want to say thank you to you and Nkiru for the opportunity to come on here and speak and share some of my viewpoints. I definitely did hear and see things from a different perspective, especially from a woman's standpoint, which I think is pretty interesting. As a man, I feel like sometimes we really don't take time out to really see things from another perspective or from a woman's perspective. So I think this is pretty cool and interesting.
Thanks, Brycey. Lita?
Thank
Can you
you.
hear us?
Thank you, guys. It was a very interesting and very passionate conversation. I pretty much like that I heard everyone's perspective. We had a great conversation. I think that the West has done a lot of injustice to us as a people, as Africans, and that we don't even know ourselves to the level that we kind of make excuses for our practices and make it seem like it's barbaric, and it's not, and it's not correct. So before the West came into Africa, we had a life, we had a culture, and we had value systems, and our women were not subjugated. If I was looking up something I wanted to share with you guys, but I couldn't find it. But if you go and look, I think in 18 something, the British put out a manual for how women should respond to their husbands when he comes back. Make sure he has water ready, hot water ready, towel to massage his foot. This is guide that the British was giving to women in how to be married and to be a married woman. It is the Western culture that made women second-class citizens. The Igbo culture never did that. Igbo culture, women inherited properties, women had their own properties, women invested, women were free to lead themselves. The problem we have is when we compare African culture to the Western culture and we come with a Western mindset, then everything Africa or everything will now see. So when you come from a Western perspective, you're going to see it as something that is wrong. You're going to see that separate but equal is bad. But that's not the concept of for example, in the African culture before the British came, men were not allowed to go to where women were having babies. It was older women that would be the gynecologists, and they'll be the ones that take care of these things. This was professions that women were trained to do. Women trained women to do these jobs, and these were serious professions. If you come to a woman's kitchen, she will send you away. You will not question her, and if you did anything, they'll bring the community to question you. Women had their strong rights, and they had their, there was nothing like, to say that it was a gender suppression. The idea of cola nut is something that men do, and it's like a boys' club. It's not women that break cola nut, but also women also are able to break cola in their own meetings if there are no males there. But it was not done in any way it wasn't done in any way to make women or subjugate women. Now, the concept of women not inheriting, don't inherit in their father's compound because they believe that the women will get married and move on. But also in Igbo land, there's something they call iduno, meaning that your father will give you your own share when you're getting married. He's going to take you when you're getting married, he's going to give you a bunch of stuff to go to your husband's house. So Igbo culture is very balanced and very, very, but if you look at it from a Western point of view, you're going to miss it. But any which way, I think that we should have more conversations like this. I am just here to, kind of correct the wrong impression because I see that there's a lot of Western influence that made us think that our culture and our practices were barbaric and we're not fair to women, and now it's different, which I disagree. But anyway, I know just because of time, I thank you guys for bringing me on here. I truly enjoyed having this conversation with every one of you. It was very inspiring. It was very educative. I want to talk to you guys again. Thank you guys for having me here. Nkiru, my hearts are up for you. Good job moderating. You did a great job. Thank you guys. And hopefully we'll see you again next time.
Yes, we'll definitely do this as a part 2 later. Thank you. So, Marlon, I don't know if you have any final words before I close us out.
No, that's really, thank you everybody for participating. Thank you for, this is a time effort. I know people ran away from things that they really wanted to do and things that they had or were rushing from work. And I know it's not easy, but we really thank you because I believe that this is the beginning of something very special. I think we can see that we have passion to spare. So I want to thank all of you for, participating, and definitely we'll be in touch with how best we can make this better next time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you all so much for your participation, for all of your contributions. Thank you to our viewers for your comments. We really appreciate them. And we hope to talk to you soon. Take care.